Previously on Dark Whispers, Scheherazade began her first great tale of the merchant who crossed the desert and anchored a fearsome genie with nothing more than a date pit. Once upon a time, in a distant land where the sun beat down upon the golden dunes, there lived a rich merchant whose heart was as vast as the desert sky. One day, driven by an insatiable thirst for adventure, he decided to cross the treacherous sands, venturing into realms unknown. But little did he know that fate had woven a web of intrigue and peril, and he was about to step right into its tangled embrace. As he journeyed deeper into the heart of the desert, the relentless sun scorched the earth, turning the landscape into a sea of shimmering heat waves. Suddenly, his camel stumbled, collapsing to the ground, its legs spread wide in a final, desperate plea for mercy. With the animal's life ebbing away, the merchant felt a pang of remorse, realizing that his recklessness had put the creature in mortal danger. In a fit of desperation, he sank his teeth into the fruit of a nearby date palm, crushed the dates into a paste, and smeared it onto the parched lips of the camel. But alas, the moment that paste touched the camel's tongue, a monstrous genie emerged from the depths of the sand. Towering above the merchant, its form was a maelstrom of smoke and fire. Its face a terrifying fusion of man and beast, its eyes burning like twin suns in the twilight sky. And, with a voice that boomed like thunder, the genie demanded the merchant's life as payment for the insult to his slumber. As the terrifying genie advanced, brandishing a sword that crackled with otherworldly flames, the merchant stumbled backward, his mind racing for a way out of this perilous situation. Just when all hope seemed lost, 3 old men appeared, each bearing an air of wisdom and mystery. They approached the genie, their gazes unwavering, and offered to bargain for the merchant's life. And so the genie agreed to spare the merchant's life, but only if the 3 men could match or surpass the wondrous tales he would tell. And thus began a mesmerizing game of wits between the mystical beings. Each story weaving a spell of wonder, suspense, and magic that defied the boundaries of reality. And now, dear listeners, the tale reaches its dramatic conclusion. Will the 3 old men succeed in outdoing the genie's tales? What wonders and perils await them as they bargain for the merchant's life? To find out, let us dive once more into the swirling sands of fate. The genie stood silhouetted against the fiery hues of the setting sun, its form a towering specter of smoke and flame. With a deep voice that rumbled like an earthquake, it addressed the 3 old men. 3 tales you seek to trade for the life of this foolish merchant. Very well, I shall weave 3 tales so wondrous and bizarre that none of your stories can hope to rival them. And with that, the genie unleashed the first of its tales, transporting them all to a realm of impossible beauty, where a sultan's daughter sat in prison atop a mountain, guarded by fierce lions and a dragon's ire. The genie's narrative painted a vivid picture of love, betrayal, and sacrifice, leaving the 3 old men awestruck and pondering the depths of human emotion. When the genie finished its tale, the first old man stepped forward, leaning heavily on his deer. It was clear that age had not diminished his keen intellect. A fine story, genie, but as enticing as it was, it lacked a certain spark. My turn. Then let me tell you of the fisherman and the genie. A tale that delves into the very core of human curiosity and the consequences of meddling with forces beyond our understanding. With that, the first old man launched into his tale, describing how a simple fisherman's life was turned upside down when he hauled in a massive fish that turned out to be a genie in disguise. As the story unfolded, it became a tapestry of deceit, cunning, and unexpected twists, leaving the genie and the others hanging on every word. When the first old man concluded his tale, the genie's expression remained impassive, but a flicker of intrigue betrayed his true feelings. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the second old man to spin his yarn, and the wise man did not disappoint. His tale transported them to a bustling city where a king's beloved daughter had fallen gravely ill. No medicine could cure her ailment, and so the king made a desperate bargain with an enigmatic hermit who claimed to possess the secret to her recovery. The hermit's price, however, was steep, and it forced the king to embark on a perilous quest that tested the limits of his courage and resolve. The second old man's tale ended on a cliffhanger, leaving the audience eager to hear the resolution. The genie's eyes gleamed with admiration, but it still seemed unconvinced. Now it was time for the third old man to weave his magic. He listened intently as the genie recounted its tale of a princess who sought eternal youth by making a pact with a mysterious enchantress, Cana, but the enchantress's motives proved to be more sinister than the princess could have imagined, plunging her into a labyrinth of deception and peril. Determined to outdo the genie, the third old man shared a tale of a brave knight who ventured into a dark and dangerous forest to slay a fearsome dragon that had been terrorizing the nearby village. But as the knight battled the dragon, he uncovered secrets about the creature that challenged everything he believed in. Each of the three old men had spun a tale that captivated the imagination and left their listeners spellbound. Now, the tension was palpable as the merchant's fate hung in the balance, waiting for the genie to make his final decision. For a long moment, the genie remained silent, lost in thought. Its fiery eyes flickered with conflicting emotions, weighing the merits of each tale. Finally, it spoke in a voice that echoed with the weight of its decision. By the truth of my kind, by the oaths of the unseen, I have heard three tales beyond wonder, tales so strange they rival the mysteries of the stars. By their words, I am bound. Merchant, your life is spared. With a wave of its hand, the genie banished the flames that engulfed its form, revealing a majestic lion lying where the creature had stood. Its eyes, now gentle, regarded the merchant with newfound warmth. You have earned my respect, old men. Your stories have enriched my existence, and for that I am eternally grateful. The merchant, go now and live your life wisely. Remember the value of stories and the bonds they forge between hearts. With that, the genie vanished, leaving behind a profound sense of wonder and gratitude. The merchant, overwhelmed with relief, bowed deeply before the three old men. What can I ever do to repay you for saving my life? He asked, his voice trembling with emotion. The first old man, stroking the deer gently, replied, You need not repay us, merchant. We are bound by ancient oaths to protect those who seek our aid, but heed our words. For life is a chain of stories, each linked to the next. Walk wisely, for you never know when your own tale will call another spirit to your side. The second old man, with his two black dogs at his feet, added, Remember the weight of even the smallest action, a pit of fruit, a word spoken, a step taken in haste or anger. These are the sparks that light the fires of destiny. The third old man, gazing into the distance, said, Your life was bought with stories tonight. Guard it well, for stories are the threads that bind the world together. As the night deepened, the three old men vanished, leaving the merchant with a heart full of gratitude and a profound understanding of the power of stories. From that day forward, the merchant walked a different path, cherishing life and embracing the interconnectedness of all things. He became known throughout the land as a patron of the arts, assuring that the stories that had saved him would continue to thrive, weaving their magic for generations to come. And so, the tale of the merchant and the genie came to an end, serving as a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, hope and redemption can be found in the most unexpected of places. This ends the tale of the merchant and the genie, but the night is still young, and our story is far from over. Meanwhile, deep within the palace, Scheherazade paused, letting the silence hang heavy in the air. She dared not reveal the ending just yet. Not until the king's curiosity had reached its peak, not until his desire for more stories had become a burning obsession. For Shahryar was a king ruled by impulse, swayed by fleeting fancies, and quick to snuff out lives that bored him. But tonight, she had woven a tale of peril and intrigue. A story that had danced on the edge of disaster, a narrative that had left the fate of the merchant hanging in the balance. She watched him closely, gauging his reactions, knowing that his response would determine her fate. If he were impatient, demanding more, then she would weave another tale, leading them further into the labyrinth of her storytelling. But she saw in his eyes a dawning realization, a spark of recognition. Scheherazade had played his part well, consumed by the story, captivated by its twists and turns. He had forgotten his cruel intentions, lost himself in the world she had created, and as the embers of the evening slowly faded, she allowed herself a small smile. Her plan was working. The king was caught in her web of words, and for now, her life was safe. Yet she knew this victory was but a momentary reprieve. Each night she danced with danger, each story a gamble with destiny. Question was, would Scheherazade grow weary of her tales? Would he tire of the suspense, demand a swift and decisive ending? Only time would tell. And as the first rays of dawn began to creep through the palace walls, Scheherazade held her breath, bracing for the king's verdict. The fate of her life, perhaps even her kingdom, rested on his words. Would he say, "Continue your tale," or would he pronounce the fateful, "Enough"? The suspense was a tangible thing, heavy in the air between them, thick with anticipation. And as the sun rose higher, painting the sky with hues of gold and crimson, Scheherazade finally spoke. His voice was low, a mixture of admiration and intrigue. "Woman, you have kept me awake with this tale, and my heart is restless. Tell me what comes next. For if you stop now, your life shall end at sunrise." Scheherazade's heart leaped with relief. The king wanted more. Her tale had captured his attention, held him captive with its drama and intrigue. But she knew he was treading on dangerous ground, for she had woven a world of peril and passion. And the deeper he delved into it, the more entangled he became. Still, she had led him this far, and she would not falter now. A slow smile curved her lips, and her eyes, dark and luminous, held his gaze. "If you permit, my king," she said, her voice a silken thread winding around his words, "I shall tell you a new tale. A story that will carry us across seas into the hands of fate itself, and into the grasp of powers even greater than the genie you have just heard of." The king's eyes blazed with curiosity. He waved his hand dismissively, dismissing the guards who had crowded around them. "Speak then, Scheherazade, for tonight I must hear more." And so, as the night deepened and the shadows lengthened in the palace halls, Scheherazade began a new tale. The king leaned closer, his senses sharpened, ready to be swept away once more. And with a flourish, she started in a distant land by the azure sea. "Oh, Scheherazade, I want to hear the next part of the story. Don't leave me hanging like this. Please continue the tale." Thank you for joining us on this episode of Dark Whispers. If you enjoyed the tale of the merchant and the genies, be sure to show your support. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. Until next time, may your stories always keep you company in the dark.